What happens when a harmless joke turns your world upside down? I never imagined that one dance with my ex at a family party would lead to my husband serving me divorce papers the very next day. My name is Evadne Mireille, and I thought I was just having a little fun. I was wrong. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible stories. The silence in our living room felt suffocating. Henry sat hunched over his laptop at the dining table, fingers clicking away at his accounting spreadsheets while I folded laundry on the couch. Our 7-year-old daughter Clara was upstairs doing homework, and the house felt more like a library than a home. "Henry," I called out, not looking up from the towels. "Mrs. Patterson asked if we're bringing anything to the family party this weekend." He grunted, not lifting his eyes from the screen. I slammed down a towel harder than necessary. "Did you even hear me?" "Party, yes. Whatever you think is fine." His voice was flat, distracted. I stood up, crossing my arms. "When was the last time we actually talked? Like, really talked?" Henry finally looked up, blinking as if seeing me for the first time all evening. "We're talking now." "No, we're not. You're working, and I'm trying to get your attention like I'm invisible." The frustration that had been building for months finally bubbled over. "When was the last time we went out? When was the last time you asked me how my day was?" He closed the laptop with a sigh. "Evadne, I'm trying to finish the Morrison account. Can we discuss this later?" "It's always later with you." I felt tears prick my eyes. I feel like I'm married to a ghost. Henry rubbed his temples. "I'm working to provide for this family. I thought you understood that. I understand that you care more about your spreadsheets than your wife." The words came out sharper than I intended, but I didn't take them back. He stared at me for a long moment, something unreadable flickering across his face. "That's not fair, and you know it." "Is it? When was the last time you danced with me? When was the last time you made me feel like a woman instead of just Clara's mother and your roommate?" Henry stood up slowly. "If you're unhappy, maybe we should talk about what's really bothering you." I turned away, unable to meet his eyes. The truth was, I had been texting Derek Vale, my ex-boyfriend from college. It started innocently enough. He'd reached out on social media a few months ago, and we'd been catching up. But lately, our conversations had become more frequent, more intimate. He made me feel alive in a way I hadn't felt in years. "Nothing's bothering me except feeling neglected," I lied. My phone buzzed on the coffee table. Henry's eyes flicked to it, and I quickly grabbed it, seeing Derek's name on the screen. My heart pounded as I slipped it into my pocket. "Who was that?" Henry asked quietly. "Just Jenna," I said, hating how easily the lie rolled off my tongue. Henry nodded, but I caught the way his jaw tightened. "I'm going to finish my work upstairs." As he gathered his laptop and papers, I felt a mix of guilt and defiance. Maybe if he paid more attention to me, I wouldn't need to find it elsewhere. Later that evening, after Clara was in bed, I sat in the bathroom texting Derek. "Can't wait to see you at the party this weekend," I typed, my fingers trembling slightly. "Same here. It's been too long since we've had fun together," came his quick reply. I stared at the message, knowing I was crossing a line, but unable to stop myself. Henry made me feel invisible, but Derek made me feel desired. Was it so wrong to want to feel alive again? The community center was decorated with streamers and balloons for Henry's cousin's birthday party. Extended family filled the space, chatting over paper plates of potluck dishes and plastic cups of punch. I spotted Derek immediately. He looked good, his dark hair styled perfectly, wearing a fitted button-down that showed off the gym membership he'd been bragging about in our texts. "Evadne," my mother, Lydia, rushed over with a bright smile. "You look beautiful, honey. That dress is perfect on you." I smoothed down the red cocktail dress I'd chosen, specifically because Henry had never complimented me in it. "Thanks, Mom. Have you seen Henry?" "He's over by the food table with Martha and Lucas." She gestured toward the far corner where my husband stood with his mother and brother, looking as uncomfortable as always at social gatherings. Evadne. The voice behind me sent a shiver down my spine. I turned to find Derek grinning at me, his eyes appreciatively taking in my appearance. Derek, I didn't know you'd be here. It was a lie, of course. I'd specifically asked Henry's cousin to invite him, claiming we were old friends who'd lost touch. Wouldn't miss it, he said, stepping closer than necessary. You look incredible. I felt my cheeks flush. Thank you. You clean up pretty well yourself. From across the room, I caught Henry watching us. Good. Maybe now he'd remember he had a wife worth paying attention to. The DJ started playing music, and couples began moving to the makeshift dance floor. I watched Henry make no move to ask me to dance, instead continuing his conversation about tax codes with his brother. Care to dance? Derek extended his hand with that charming smile that had won me over in college. I glanced toward Henry again. He was still ignoring me, deep in conversation. I'd love to. Derek led me to the dance floor, his hand warm on my lower back. The song was a slow one, and he pulled me closer than was appropriate for a married woman dancing with her ex-boyfriend at a family party. I've missed this, he whispered near my ear, his breath warm against my neck. Missed what? I asked, though I knew exactly what he meant. The way you feel in my arms, the way you look at me. I should have pulled away. I should have made an excuse and returned to my husband. Instead, I let Derek spin me around, laughing loudly enough for everyone to hear. Henry never dances with me anymore, I announced to no one in particular, my voice carrying across the room. At least someone knows how to show a lady a good time. I caught sight of Martha's horrified expression and Lucas shaking his head. My sister Jenna appeared at my elbow as the song ended. Evadne, what are you doing? She hissed under her breath. Having fun, I replied, breathless from the dance and the attention. Remember fun? That thing married people are apparently not allowed to have. You're making a scene. Good, maybe someone will finally notice me. Derek squeezed my hand. Another dance? Before I could answer, I saw Henry walking toward the exit, his face a mask of controlled emotion. He didn't look back, didn't say goodbye, just disappeared into the parking lot. A small part of me wanted to follow him, to explain, to apologize. But the larger part, the part that felt vindicated and powerful, stayed on the dance floor with Derek. One more dance, I told him, ignoring Jenna's disapproving stare. As Derek pulled me close again, I caught my mother beaming at us from across the room. Evadne's always been dramatic, I heard her tell someone. She just needs to express herself. But Martha's words to Lucas cut through the music. This is humiliating. That poor boy doesn't deserve this. The party continued around us, but I felt the shift in the room's energy. Some people were whispering, others pointedly looking away. I'd gotten the attention I craved, but it wasn't the kind I'd expected. My phone buzzed in my purse. A text from Henry. We need to talk tomorrow. The message was cold, formal. Nothing like the man who used to send me sweet good morning texts when we were dating. I stared at the words, a chill running down my spine despite Derek's warm hands on my waist. Maybe I'd pushed too far this time. I found Henry in the kitchen the next morning, sitting at our small breakfast table with a cup of coffee and a manila folder I didn't recognize. Clara was still asleep upstairs, and the house felt eerily quiet. Good morning, I said carefully, pouring myself coffee with shaking hands. Sit down, Evadne. His tone made my stomach clench. I'd never heard him sound so cold, so controlled. I sat across from him, trying to read his expression. I think we need to discuss what happened last night. I forced a laugh. You mean the party? Henry, it was just dancing. You're not seriously upset about that, are you? He opened the folder and pulled out printed screenshots of text messages. My text messages, with Derek. My blood turned to ice. Where did you get those? You left your phone unlocked last week. I wasn't snooping, but a message popped up while I was trying to call you from upstairs." His voice was steady, matter of fact. The message was from Derek, talking about how much he missed holding you. I stared at the papers, seeing months of flirtation and emotional intimacy laid out in black and white. Messages I'd convinced myself were harmless looked damning on paper. "Henry, it's not what it looks like." "Really?" "Because it looks like my wife has been having an emotional affair with her ex-boyfriend for 4 months. He pulled out more papers. Bank statements showing cash withdrawals on days you claimed to be shopping alone. Restaurant receipts from places you've never taken me. "You went through our bank records?" I felt my face flush with anger and embarrassment. "It's a joint account, Evadne. I have every right to see where our money goes." He leaned back in his chair. "The question is, why are you spending our money on secret dinners with another man?" I stood up abruptly, pacing to the window. "You want to know why? Because you never take me anywhere. Because you come home from work and bury yourself in your laptop. Because I feel like I'm dying of loneliness in my own marriage. So you decided to resurrect your relationship with Derek?" "It's not a relationship, we're friends." Henry pulled out his phone and began reading aloud. "I can't stop thinking about you. Being married doesn't change how I feel. If things were different, we'd be together right now." He looked up at me. "That was your message to him, sent 3 days ago." The words hung in the air between us. I couldn't deny them. They were right there in my own handwriting, digitally preserved evidence of my betrayal. "Henry, please. I was just feeling neglected. I never meant for it to go this far." "How far has it gone, Evadne? Are you sleeping with him?" "No, God, no. We've just talked and had a few innocent dinners and danced at a family party while announcing to everyone that your husband doesn't pay attention to you." His voice cracked slightly. "Do you have any idea how humiliating that was?" Tears started flowing down my cheeks. "I'm sorry. I was just trying to get your attention. By flirting with another man in front of our family, by making me look like a fool in front of people I have to see at every holiday for the rest of my life." Clara's voice drifted down from upstairs. "Mummy, Daddy, why are you yelling?" Henry immediately softened his voice. "We're just talking, sweetheart. Get ready for school." He turned back to me, his expression harder than I'd ever seen it. "I'm going to stay at Lucas's for a while. I need time to think." "Henry, please don't do this. We can work through this." He stood up, gathering the papers back into the folder. "Can we? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you've already made your choice." "What's that supposed to mean?" "It means that instead of talking to me about feeling neglected, you decided to find comfort with another man. Instead of working on our marriage, you decided to humiliate me publicly." He paused at the kitchen doorway. "I trusted you, Evadne. I thought we were partners." "We are partners. Partners don't do what you did last night." As he walked upstairs to pack, I sank back into my chair, staring at the coffee that had grown cold. The manila folder sat on the table like evidence at a crime scene. My phone buzzed. A text from Derek. "Had a great time dancing last night. When can we do it again?" For the first time, his message didn't make me feel excited or desired. It made me feel sick. By Monday morning, the office was buzzing with gossip. I could feel eyes on me as I walked to my desk at the insurance company, conversation stopping mid-sentence when I passed. "Evadne," my coworker Jennifer called out, barely containing her excitement. "I heard you caused quite a stir at a party this weekend." My stomach dropped. "What do you mean?" "My cousin was there. She said you were dancing pretty close with some guy who wasn't your husband." Jennifer's eyes gleamed with the thrill of fresh drama. "She said your husband left early." I forced a laugh. People love to exaggerate. It was just dancing. But throughout the day, I caught whispered conversations and knowing looks. The story was spreading, growing more scandalous with each retelling. During lunch, I called my mother, desperate for support. "Oh, honey," Lydia cooed into the phone. "People are just jealous. You looked beautiful at that party, and that Derek is such a handsome man. If Henry can't appreciate what he has, maybe he needs a wake-up call." "Mom, he moved out. He's staying at his brother's place." "Well, that's his loss. You're young and vibrant, Evadne. You shouldn't have to live like a nun just because you're married. Her words should have comforted me, but they felt hollow. I tried calling Jenna next. Don't, my sister said before I could even explain why I was calling. Don't try to make me take sides in whatever mess you've created. I just need someone to talk to. Then talk to your husband. Oh wait, you can't, because you humiliated him in front of his entire family. Jenna, please. Evadne, I love you, but you screwed up. Big time. And instead of owning it, you're calling around trying to find people to tell you it's okay. Her voice softened slightly. It's not okay. Fix it. She hung up, leaving me staring at my phone in the empty break room. That evening, I posted on Facebook. Sometimes the people closest to you are the ones who understand you least. Grateful for friends who see the real me. San to you. Misunderstood, Anuju living my truth. The post got dozens of likes and supportive comments from casual acquaintances, but I noticed that Henry's family members, people who had been my Facebook friends for years, were conspicuously silent. My phone rang. It was Lucas. Evadne, I think you should take that post down. Excuse me? That passive-aggressive nonsense you just posted. My brother is going through hell right now, and you're on social media playing the victim. I have every right to express my feelings. You have every right to make yourself look worse, sure, but if you have any hope of saving your marriage, I'd suggest you start taking responsibility instead of fishing for sympathy from strangers. The line went dead. When I checked Facebook, I saw that Lucas had unfriended me. So had Martha. So had several of Henry's cousins. Tuesday brought an email that made my hands shake. Mrs. Mireille, I represent your husband, Henry Mireille, in domestic matters. Please provide access to all shared financial accounts, phone records, and digital devices by Friday at 5 p.m. This is a formal request in preparation for legal proceedings. Legal proceedings. Divorce. I called Derek in a panic. Can you meet me for coffee? I really need to talk to someone. Of course, beautiful. The usual place. An hour later, I sat across from Derek at the small cafe where we'd been meeting for months, tears streaming down my face as I explained the situation. He's being ridiculous, Derek said, reaching across to squeeze my hand. One dance doesn't justify this kind of reaction. It's not just the dance. He found our text messages. Derek's expression shifted slightly. How much did he see? Everything, I think. Months of conversations. He leaned back in his chair, suddenly looking uncomfortable. Evadne, maybe we should cool things down for a while. Until this blows over. I stared at him. Cool things down? Derek, I might be getting divorced because of our friendship, and you want to abandon me now. I'm not abandoning you. I'm being practical. If Henry's lawyer is involved, they might try to drag me into this mess. So you're more worried about protecting yourself than helping me? Derek shifted in his seat. Look, what we had was fun, but I never promised you anything. You're married, remember? The words hit me like a slap. This man I'd risked my marriage for, who'd made me feel special and desired, was already backing away now that things got complicated. I need to go, I said, standing abruptly. Evadne, don't be like this. But I was already walking away, realizing for the first time that I might have destroyed my marriage for someone who was never really there for me at all. Henry's lawyer's office was intimidating, all dark wood and leather chairs that made me feel small and exposed. I sat across from a conference table where Henry sat next to his attorney, Mr. Peterson, while my hastily hired lawyer, Ms. Rodriguez, shuffled through papers beside me. Mrs. Mireille, Mr. Peterson began, opening a thick folder. We've compiled evidence of your extramarital relationship that we believe demonstrates a pattern of deception and betrayal that makes reconciliation impossible. He spread photographs across the table. Pictures of Derek and me at restaurants, laughing over dinner. Pictures of us walking close together down the street. Pictures I didn't even know existed. Where did you get these? I whispered. Your husband hired a private investigator after the party incident, Mr. Peterson replied matter-of-factly. These photos span the last 6 weeks. I looked at Henry, but he wouldn't meet my eyes. The man I'd been married to for 9 years had hired someone to follow me like a criminal. This is insane, I said, my voice rising. Henry, how could you have me followed? He finally looked at me, his expression colder than I'd ever seen it. How could you lie to me for 4 months? Ms. Rodriguez cleared her throat. These photos show 2 people having dinner and walking together. That's not evidence of adultery. Mr. Peterson smiled grimly and produced another set of documents. No, but these text messages are evidence of emotional adultery, which in this state can be grounds for divorce. He began reading aloud. I dream about what it would be like if we were together. Sometimes I pretend you're the one coming home to me at night. My face burned with shame as he continued reading my most intimate thoughts, words I'd typed in moments of loneliness and fantasy. These messages show a clear pattern of emotional infidelity and deception. Mrs. Mireille was using marital funds to conduct this relationship while lying to her husband about her whereabouts. I never slept with him, I burst out. It was just talking. Emotional affairs can be just as damaging as physical ones, Mr. Peterson replied. And given your public humiliation of Mr. Mireille at the family gathering, we believe this demonstrates a fundamental breakdown of the marriage. Henry spoke for the first time since we'd sat down. I want primary custody of Clara. My heart stopped. What? I want our daughter to live with me primarily. You can have supervised visitation. Supervised? Henry, you can't be serious. Ms. Rodriguez leaned forward. On what grounds are you requesting supervised visitation? Mr. Peterson produced another folder. Mrs. Mireille has demonstrated poor judgment and instability. She's been conducting a secret relationship, lying about her activities, and displaying erratic behavior. We have witness statements from family members describing her inappropriate conduct at the party. Those are character assassinations, not legal grounds. There's more. Henry's voice was quiet but firm. Show her the recording. Mr. Peterson pulled out a small digital recorder. This is from last week, when Mrs. Mireille met with Derek Vale at Café Luna. My blood turned to ice as I heard my own voice coming from the speaker. Maybe Henry and I splitting up wouldn't be the worst thing. I mean, what kind of life is this anyway? Clara would be better off with parents who are happy apart than miserable together. I had said those words in a moment of anger and desperation, but hearing them played back in this sterile conference room, they sounded callous and calculating. You recorded me, I whispered. The investigator was at a nearby table, Henry said. You were speaking loud enough for other patrons to hear. Ms. Rodriguez looked uncomfortable. We should discuss a settlement that works for everyone. No settlement, Henry interrupted. I want a divorce, I want primary custody, and I want the house. I stared at him in shock. This wasn't the quiet, passive man I'd married. This was someone I didn't recognize. Someone methodical and determined and completely done with me. Henry, please, we can work this out. I'll stop talking to Derek. I'll do counseling. Whatever you want. He finally looked directly at me, and what I saw in his eyes made me shrink back. Not anger, not hurt, something worse. Indifference. It's too late for that, Evadne. You made your choice when you decided our marriage wasn't worth your loyalty. I made a mistake. You made dozens of mistakes, over months, while looking me in the eye and lying about it. His voice remained steady, controlled. I can't trust you anymore. And I won't have Clara growing up thinking this is what marriage looks like. The meeting ended with Mr. Peterson explaining that I had 2 weeks to respond to the divorce papers. As we gathered our things, Henry stood and walked toward the door without a backward glance. Henry, wait, I called after him. He paused in the doorway. There's nothing left to say, Evadne. You wanted attention and excitement more than you wanted our family. Now you're free to have as much of both as you want. The door closed behind him with a soft click that sounded like the end of everything I'd ever known. The courthouse was smaller than I'd expected, with fluorescent lighting that made everyone look pale and tired. I sat next to Ms. Rodriguez at a table facing the judge, while Henry and Mr. Peterson occupied the table across from us. The gallery behind us was mostly empty, except for Martha, Lucas, and my mother. Judge Harrison reviewed the case file with the detached efficiency of someone who'd seen hundreds of similar situations. This is a petition for divorce citing irreconcilable differences and adultery. Mr. Peterson, please present your case. What followed was the systematic destruction of my reputation. Phone records showing hundreds of texts between Derek and me. Bank statements highlighting secret cash withdrawals. Witness statements from family members describing my behavior at the party. The private investigator's photos and recordings. Each piece of evidence felt like a nail in the coffin of my marriage. Mrs. Mireille, the judge said, turning to me, do you dispute these allegations? I looked at Ms. Rodriguez, who nodded encouragingly. Your Honor, I admit that I made mistakes in my marriage. I was feeling neglected and lonely, and I made poor choices in seeking comfort elsewhere. But I never had a physical relationship with Mr. Vale, and I believe my marriage can be saved with counseling and effort. Judge Harrison looked unmoved. Mrs. Mireille, the evidence shows a pattern of deception spanning several months, culminating in public humiliation of your spouse. You used marital funds to conduct what amounts to an emotional affair while lying to your husband about your activities. I understand that, Your Honor, but furthermore, the recorded conversation where you expressed that your daughter might be better off with divorced parents suggests a cavalier attitude toward the stability of your child's home environment. I felt tears starting but forced them back. I was upset when I said that. I didn't mean it. The court is not interested in what you meant, Mrs. Mireille, but in what you did. The judge's voice was firm but not unkind. Your actions demonstrated a fundamental breach of trust that appears irreparable. Ms. Rodriguez tried one last argument about the importance of keeping families together, but I could see it was hopeless. The evidence was too overwhelming, too damning. After reviewing all evidence and testimony, Judge Harrison announced, I hereby grant the divorce petition. Mr. Mireille will be awarded primary physical custody of the minor child, with Mrs. Mireille receiving supervised visitation every other weekend. The words hit me like a physical blow. Supervised visitation, like I was a danger to my own daughter. The marital home will remain with Mr. Mireille, and Mrs. Mireille will be responsible for her own legal fees and court costs. I was losing everything, my husband, my daughter, my home, and what little savings I had left after paying lawyers. Your Honor, I said, standing shakily, please reconsider the custody arrangement. Clara needs her mother. Clara needs stability, Mrs. Mireille. Your actions over the past several months suggest you prioritized your own desires over your family's well-being. The judge's expression softened slightly. The supervised visitation can be reviewed in 6 months if you can demonstrate consistent, responsible behavior. As the judge's gavel fell, I felt my legs give out. Ms. Rodriguez caught my arm, helping me back into my chair. This isn't over, she whispered. We can appeal. With what money? I whispered back. Across the aisle, Henry was shaking hands with Mr. Peterson, his expression calm and resolved. Martha hugged him tightly, tears in her eyes. Lucas clapped him on the shoulder, murmuring words of support. Behind me, my mother was sobbing quietly. This is so unfair, she kept repeating. So unfair. But as I watched Henry gather his papers and prepare to leave, to go home to our house, to tuck our daughter into bed, to continue his life without me, I realized that maybe it wasn't unfair at all. I had gambled my marriage on the attention of a man who disappeared the moment things got complicated. I had chosen the temporary thrill of feeling desired over the steady love of a husband who worked hard to provide for our family. I had prioritized my own emotional needs over my daughter's stability. Henry walked past my table on his way out, pausing for just a moment. I hope you find whatever it was you were looking for, Evadne. His voice held no anger, No bitterness, just a quiet sadness that somehow hurt worse than if he'd screamed at me. As he left the courtroom with his family surrounding him, I remained in my chair, staring at the legal papers that had just dissolved 9 years of marriage in less than an hour. My mother approached, her face streaked with tears. "Oh, honey, I'm so sorry. This is all so unfair." But for the first time in months, I saw the situation clearly. It wasn't unfair. It was consequences. I had made choice after choice that led me to this moment, and no amount of tears or self-pity would change that. I thought Derek would make me feel alive again, but instead, he'd help me destroy the life I already had. I thought Henry was cold and inattentive, but he'd been working to build something stable for our family, while I was busy tearing it down. I thought it would be funny to dance with my ex in front of my husband. He didn't think it was funny at all. And now, walking out of that courthouse alone, while my former husband went home to the daughter I'd see twice a month under supervision, I finally understood the difference between feeling alive and actually living. The joke was on me after all.